Perfect.
Yo, what's good, GridIron gang? We back at it again with another podcast for y'all. This is number 7. Basically, this is going to be a outlook on the playoff push that we have going forward and the current state of the league. As always, as y'all know, my co-host, say what's up, Kano.
What up, everyone?
And of course, my boy Swan. Say what's good, Swan.
What's going on, y'all?
Back with us again, man. Big Penton, man. Say what's good, Penton.
What's up, y'all? How y'all been?
And last but not least, new co-host to the stage, we got Mr. Trent in here finally. What's good?
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Nice to finally get in on this.
Yeah,
Boo!
Like always, man, we never hold nothing back. We don't hold no punches, so we're going to get right into it. The current playoff outlook. Kano, what you got?
Well, I mean, the AFC is pretty tight. I mean, when I talk about tight, I mean, it's probably the tightest that it has been since we have started. And it kind of is a testament, one, to the activity of people and to the development of teams. I mean, we can see at number 6, we can see guys like Penton finally, after a 5-year hiatus that he took with us, in his 5th year, he's finally able, not literally, he's 3rd year, but he's finally able to put into work that Miami team that he has been putting together. He's at 8-3. Now you also see my man's Jason's best bud, the New England Patriots at number 5 with an 8-3 record. But you also see the Jets at the number 2 seed with a 9-2 record. That's a very interesting division. Is a lot closer than it has been in the past. And if we can remember to podcast probably number 2 or 3 when I was saying that, yeah, Jets is going to win the division, but if Penton is actually playing, he's going to be a lot closer. We are a year later, but this is finally coming to fruition. And my man Trent is finally getting his little recognition that he wanted all year long. He wanted that cheerleader pom-pom to hold his hand and be able to say, hey, Trent, you're here. He's doing really good. I mean, they got 3 representatives right now from that division in the playoff race. So at number 6, we got the Miami Dolphins. Number 5, we got the New England Patriots. Number 4, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at 7-4. But if we were to look on the bubble right now, looking in, we got the Bengals, the Browns, and the Ravens tied. Bengals and Browns are tied at 6-5, and the Ravens are at 7-4. Week 13's matchups between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Ravens may decide the division, but not so fast because they also had to play against each other, kind of the same place we were at the last time we did this with the same topic of a podcast. The Ravens and the Browns at that time were tied. Now it happens to be the Steelers and the Ravens. If we're looking at the number 3 seed, that seems to be pretty much locked unless he drops a game, and then the 4 and 3 seed could be interchangeable. But the Chargers seems to be dominating that division. They're going to run away with it. I mean, the 1.5-year wonder that the Raiders were, they went out there, got Clowney. They did pretty well. They made it to the AFC Championship game. Then they went to the Super Bowl, and they fell off. And then at the 2 seed, as I mentioned, we got the New York Jets. And the number 1 seed, which I'm highly surprised, is the Jaguars. I mean, he's a really good user. But as I mentioned in cast before, this is the man that gets the girl stolen every time at the dance. But is this the time that he's finally able to put it to work? I don't know. But, I mean, Trent, you do have a tough division. So do you, Penn. And it's kind of good that we have both of you in this podcast to kind of discuss a little bit about this playoff race. You guys right now are holding the 2, the 5, and the 6 seed, which would put you guys playing against the Chargers and myself, or the Pittsburgh Steelers, or one of you guys can very well jump into the number 2 seed if you guys beat the Jets and he drops down. Because I do remember the Patriots beating him a little bit before. He made sure that the chat knew that he beat him for the first time. So let me know a little bit of Penton and Trent. What do you guys have to say about your division? I mean, any outlook that you have? Anything you guys want to let me know?
You want to go first, Trent, or you want me to go first?
You can go right ahead.
With the outlook right now, it's a big matchup between me and Trent actually this week to really decide who's going to be the 5 or 6 seed. That could change that as well. And with the Jets, luckily for him, he has 4 teams under 500 that he's going to face. His last toughest matchup will be the Ravens at 17. So that game might could decide division if me or Trent were undefeated. So it's open, but he has the easiest road to keep the number 2 seed because he doesn't have to face me or the Patriots again because we both split with him.
Okay. All right. That's interesting, Trent.
Yeah, like he was saying, I think the Jets has the easiest road to keep that 2 seed and win the division so far. His only major game left is against the Ravens. Myself, I mean, as he mentioned, me and the Dolphins play this week, and I also run into the Jaguars in Week 17. So I think I got a pretty tough road to move up to that 2 spot. But my prediction, honestly, I think whoever wins between me and the Dolphins is going to go win the division.
So in other
you
words,
think the
fuck
Jets
the
are?
Jets.
Yep, I feel like the Jets. I think me and the Dolphins have fairly well figured him out for the most part, and I think this is his last year running away with it, as Trent would say.
You know what? I mean, I kind of like that because, I mean, he came in, he kind of took you guys by surprise in a sense. I did predict him to win the division. If we go back to looking at the predictions, I had Jets, Dolphins, Patriots, 1, 2, and 3. I mean, that's kind of the way that you guys are with the Dolphins and the Patriots being flip-flop. But that right there can just switch at any moment. I mean, by the statements that you guys are saying. And if you guys are looking at it, I mean, the point differential that you guys are doing, I mean, that division right now, aside from, as I was talking off air with you guys, the AFC North and the NFC North, that division seems to be the tightest. But by record, you guys are the best division this year by far. So that is extremely captivating for us to see because it's normally the AFC South and the AFC North kind of fighting it out for the best division. You guys kind of came in there this year and are doing a really, really good job when it comes to that. When you guys are talking about, I mean, if we were just looking by predictions alone, by points given and points against, the Dolphins looks really good. They're giving up 266 points, but they have the most points in the division with 423 points. The next guy with the most points will be the Jets, then the Patriots. So the Patriots offense is not as potent as the other two, but yet the Patriots are not allowing as much point, but the point differential is only 16. So, I mean, it's kind of weird the way that you guys are being set up because I guess it's just about matches when it comes down to you guys' division. So it's quite interesting when I would look. But going to the AFC North, Penton, you told me that you had a little bit on the AFC North. What you got on?
My prediction for the North, I got the Steelers winning because I look at your schedule and I see, your schedule is not funny to you. You still got the Steelers, you still got Jets, you still got Jaguars, you still got the Browns. You and AI always keep each other close, while the Steelers just got the Jags and Chargers, and the Jets and Jaguars that's not a fun schedule to go through. So that's why I had the prediction for the AFC North being the Steelers currently. But the Browns, I mean, if all heck break loose, the Browns can sneak in there. Or the Bengals. They're both tied at 6-5. So
yeah, I mean, that division right now is the leader is at 7-4, tied with myself, the Ravens, at 7-4. He holds the lead right now because he beat me the first game. And then we got the Bengals and the Browns at 6-5. So honestly, we all kind of play each other to finish the season. He could very well end up where the Browns are sitting last in the division. They end up winning just because of the matchups they have left. Steelers, though, I mean, that's one to watch. He's been catching a couple forced losses here and there because of his schedule. So I hope that doesn't impede him from playing and kind of showing the type of player that he can be. This first year in the division that he's kind of executing the way that he should whenever we first recruited him. So I'm kind of glad to see, I did kind of lose last week, a game that I shouldn't have lost. But, the game was played and I lost. So that cost me. So I'm sitting at 7-4. And like you said, I do have the Jags, Jets, Browns. So it's not a fun road. So if I win, it'll be great. But we'll see. Moving on to the NFC. What's that?
So Tano, the 7th, 8th, and 9th spot, and it looks like also the 10th spot, basically 8, 9, and 10, all of those current opponents have a game over you right now?
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah.
So technically, if you lose one game, all the guys who did have tied records with you all have the tiebreaker game.
You're correct.
So you can't lose. That's tough.
Yeah, you're correct.
Oh, I did not know.
I'm pretty much on playoff mode starting now.
Nah, yeah.
I mean, you kind of don't have a choice with that last loss. Gonna have to be in playoff mode now.
It was a tough opponent. He played his hardest. He played his Super Bowl.
Oh. I mean, but I'm also tied with all those teams that you said that are right under you at 6-5. My record just also happens to be 6-5.
The only thing that you don't have going for you would be that you're at 0-4 in your division. So for some reason you seem to play towards the competition and down on the competition, which seems like, because looking at your division, the Jaguars are 10-1, but if I were to say, are the Jaguars the best team in the AFC? I mean, by record they are, but no offense to Hogan, he has never proven that he's the best player in the AFC. I mean, shit, the 6th seed right now will probably beat him in a straight up game. So I mean, it's just kind of weird the way the schedule has worked out this year and the matchups he has come out and executed. So if we're going by what speaking of now, but Trent doesn't like when I speak of the past. But if speaking of the past, he hasn't performed well against the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th, and the 6th seed and the 7th seed. So it's kind of weird to just even – and then I'm kind of surprised the way that he's beating you in a sense. So I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe he's ready. Maybe he joined the Church of Rico and went to YouTube and got a play or two. I don't know.
All right, man. So appreciate that AFC outlook. Now on the NFC, I know what you got, man.
The NFC, like I said, this year has definitely been the year of surprises when it comes to the race. I guess I could say thank you, coronavirus, in a sense. We have probably been the most active going into it. By this time a year, you get your 15 to 18 strong, and then the other 14 are straggling. But this year seems like a strong 25 are kind of playing. So it's illustrating in the standings and in the race, and kind of Rico coming back and joining the other side in the NFC kind of make things even more interesting. So if we were looking right now at the playoff race, the number 6 seed is the Detroit Lions. The 5th seed now is the Super Bowl winner tie at 9-2. The 4th seed is the Tampa Bay Bucks at 7-4. The 3rd seed is the 7-4 Bears. The 2nd seed is the Dallas Cowboys at 8-3, and then the 49ers are 10-1. That 1 seed and 5th seed could flip very, very quickly if the Seahawks beat the 49ers this week, because that could be something that
game
could be
actually going
very
on right
interesting.
now.
Yeah, so I mean, if the results were to occur during our game, update us and during this podcast, let us know, because that's something that could very much switch. Now, when we're looking at the bubble, we're looking at Green Bay with 6-5 and New Orleans Saints at 7-4. When we did the first podcast, I don't know if you can remember, we said that Karl Malone was asleep. I don't know if he took offense to that. I don't know if he just really had a tough first 4 games, but he's won, I think, 5 or 6 straight, if I were to see Yako. So he's at 7-4, bubble looking in. I don't see Detroit holding to that 6 seed, or I don't see Tampa Bay holding on to that 4 seed. So I see the Saints sneaking into the playoff once again. Now he's 0-20 in the playoffs, but I see him kind of sneaking into the playoffs right again. Either the 6 or the 4 seed, I see him sneaking in. But other than that, I think the playoffs are pretty much it. I think the Bears are going to be in it. The Tampa Bay could drop to 6, and Detroit could very well drop out. So in my prediction, I see 49ers, Cowboys, Bears, Bucks, Saints, and Seahawks. I think that's what's going to be probably in the NFC. You guys got anything on any divisions or what you guys are thinking about it?
I got something on the NFC North. On the North, I'm going to go ahead and say it. The Bears are going to win that division. I don't think there's anyone that's going to be able to squeak by them there. The only one that possibly could would be the Lions. They have 2 matchups left against each other to end this season, but I don't see that happening. But the Bears will run away with that division. I have the Lions actually sneaking in there on the 6th seed. And if it's not going to be them, I think the Packers are going to slip in there.
Over who?
I don't think the Saints are going to get in. I think the Bucks are going to hold on to that NFC South spot.
Okay.
But one
Let me see.
interesting
Do they
thing
have
about
a
the
match
North.
up there?
Yeah, they got a
there's
matchup
point-
next week. Next week.
There's a point to be made. I hate to say it because I do root for Yako and, making it to the playoffs and stuff. But from one of Kano's earlier points, kind of crunch time, Karl Malone situation is now. It's not necessarily in the playoffs anymore. He didn't necessarily run off, with his usual, maybe 1 or 2 losses in the season. Now he's fighting for his playoff berth. Do you think he'll have what it takes to kind of hold his own to make the playoffs, Kano? You could better speak to it.
In my opinion, Trent has him out, but I have him in just because of Detroit. Detroit is that one team right there that I can just really plug them out and put the Saints right in. Because to Trent's great point, that the Bears and the Lions play twice. That's 2 losses for the Lions. If we look at the NFC North right now, the only guy that
But is it though? I understand what we're used to seeing, but this is a different year. We've all seen that this is a different year with some of the losses that we've already seen previously.
Yeah,
You're correct, but if we look at the points for and the points against, the only guy that has more points for than points against is the Bears. Right now, the Lions are giving up 297 points, but they scored 285. So that probably pretty much means, and they got a couple of sneaky sims here because of that weird schedule. So I think when it comes down to him actually having to play a user, or if he catches a sim against a good team, he's going to give them up. There's no way that you can, I just don't see it here. Haven't seen it in the past, where you give up more points than what you score and you squeak into the playoffs. I know Yako's having a bad year, and I care less if he gets in there or not because he does nothing in the playoffs. But Yako at least is giving up less points he's giving up less points than what he's doing. So that if we look at that trend, I don't know. That's something that's got to give. Because that means the Bears just got to score 3 points because the Lions are going to give up 15 if we look at that kind of formula.
Yeah, for me,
that was the point I was going to make, was that the Lions and Packers both allow more points than they score. But for the Lions themselves, I don't see a 9-7 or a 10-6 finish, to be out of the question and maybe slip in there at the 6th seed.
It's possible.
Yeah. Well, anyway, is that it on the NFC guys?
I gotta add a comment. I'm kind of with Tane on this. I got the Bucks and Saints. Whoever wins the division, whoever wins it, wins it. But I do think though whoever loses still gonna slip into the 6th seed. But the Saints do got some the Saints do got some tough matchups coming up with this week against the Bears and next week against the Bucks to decide the division. So these next 2 weeks are really like cleared up who will be the 6th or 4th seed.
Yeah, I would say overall the NFC is way more up for grabs still than the AFC is.
You think so?
I think so. I think there's several seeds there that can change. I mean, you never know. The Bears could drop a couple more. Next thing you know, the Lions and Packers are in, and the Bears is out.
Because the Bears can't afford to slip up this week against the Saints. Otherwise, and then Detroit wins. Detroit's winning the division.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see the Lions beating the Bears. That's the one thing. And if they play twice, I just don't see the Lions beating Ion twice. I mean, unless Ion falls, I just don't see it. I personally have played against the Lions. I don't know about you guys. And I know you guys don't like to hear the whole compare yourself to who you have played. But in my opinion, the Bears are a much tougher opponent. And that's a lot to say from me to give Charles Barkley any kind of credit because, again, he's one of the ones that I don't care for. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of good. I guess it's kind of good that we do this right around week 12, week 13 because there's so much uncertainty with 5 games left. That you just really 5 games left that you just really don't know. One loss here, one loss there can really put you out the playoffs. I mean,
that's true.
I'm really eager to see what the AFC. If we can wrap it up in any kind of way, I'm really eager to see how the AFC East, AFC North, and NFC South, and how that whole seeding, is going to play out for the NFC because. I don't know. The matchups are going to kind of be interesting because if Yaakov loses but wins out and Tampa Bay wins, that leaves you at Ion versus Yaakov round 1, Bucks versus Ty or Rico round 1. And then in the AFC, we have Jeremy, which in my opinion, if we were to do the playoffs today, he's the weakest one in the AFC as far as opponents. We have, if the AFC were to be played today, we have Penton versus Jeremy, and then we have Pittsburgh versus New England, or myself if I win this week. So and then I get to see my boy Trent, so I can shut him up for once. But that'll be one of those good matchups that I don't know. I feel like this year, out of all, we have had some playoff years. Like last year was kind of intriguing, but Raiders came out of nowhere. Never expected that. I think when we did the playoff rankings, no one had the Raiders high up there. I think I had them the highest out of everybody just because I played them so much recently. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I think this playoffs might be different just because we might see new guys. We might see Rico giving the NFC some run. We might see Penton finally in the playoffs. We might see the return of New England in the playoffs. It's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna be tough. I kind of like seeing this.
My last comment on the AFC playoffs, I think the AFC East is putting 3 teams in this season, no matter what.
Yeah. I think that may be unless you guys kind of lose 2 games randomly somehow.
Nice.
But once you get in the playoffs, who's going to win?
You never know.
We can talk about that next time.
That'll be podcast 17. Podcast week 17. Once we got more better outlook, we can talk about matchups then.
Matchups, yeah. That's definitely big.
For sure. Well, moving on to the next segment, we got league leaders in stats by my boy Swan.
Oh, before I forget, Los, I just want to give a shout out to my 4-7 Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sorry we didn't really talk much about you. I know we talked a little bit more about ourselves. That's just because we're actually in the playoffs. So how about you get your game up, and next time, right around this time, we'll talk about you, sir. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Shots fired. Shots fired. All right, Swan, what you got on them stats, man?
All right, so starting off with the league leaders and quarterbacks. As far as best performance right now, it's got to be Tyreek Jackson from San Francisco. Mr. YouTube himself has got the team flowing. Tyreek Jackson has 3,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions with a 126 QBR at the moment. Second place would have to be Dallas's Mike Bowen, 3,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 17 picks. Numbers are pretty similar, but the interceptions, they're going to knock you down. And then third, we have Brian Duarte. Now, what Tampa Bay is doing is kind of crazy, but he's got 3,800 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 24 interceptions. Honorable mention will have to be Seahawks Everett Bender, 3,100 yards, 32 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. Running backs. Now, I had to put an asterisk by this, and I'm glad Penton's here because we just got to know. With 5 games left, your running back, Shamel Clayton, 203 carries, 2,200 yards with 5 games left, 19 touchdowns. Do you give the ball to anybody else, Penton?
Hey, Joe Mixon almost got 1,000 yards.
So you're just – okay, we're spamming it. Next, top 2 running backs behind him have 13 touchdowns and 1,300 yards as well. That's a pretty impressive feat with 5 games left, but they're definitely being overshadowed with the league's leader who has almost 1,000 yards more than them with 5 games left. Leading receivers, Bucks rookie tight end Keith Allen has 73 receptions, 1,200 yards, 17 touchdowns. This guy's playing out of this world. Bears Emmanuel Hall, 1,500 yards, 22 touchdowns, and coincidentally, Giants receiver Justin Gross, 1,314 touchdowns. These guys are playing almost identical. If you ask me, it might be the same guy. And then Patriots Floyd Hagler, 1,200 yards, 19 touchdowns. So receivers are getting it in this year. Defensively, sack leaders is Dallas Cowboys Steve Prohl with 17 and a half sacks, and one of my co-hosts' very own rookie, Joey Crutchfield, leads the league in interception with 13.
Oh, I wanted that guy in the draft. That was
I need him to slow down. I'm trying to
good
catch
pick
him.
by you, Texans. That was a
Everyone
really good
keeps
pick by you.
everyone keeps testing him, man. I don't know what's going on, but everyone just wants the rookie. I think from that, first couple pods we was talking about him, everybody just constantly wants to go at him for no apparent reason. I mean, he's leading the league in interceptions for a reason, guys. Stop it.
Well, that's it for your league leaders and stats.
Awesome. Well, let's move right on to the area of the show or the segment that gets everybody, talking spicy, as Tano would put it, the power rankings. I'm going to start off with mine, and that's just going to be that. Hopefully I don't get drugged. At 10, I got Steelers. Right now I got Steelers at the 10. I got Chargers at number 9. I got Bears at 8. I got Dallas, I got the Dolphins at number 7. I got Cowboys at 6. I got the Pats at 5. Okay. I got the Seahawks at 4. I got the Jets at 3. This is kind of 1A, 1B for me, but I got 49ers at 2 and Jags at 1. Also, for anyone that's interested, all of my power rankings are based off record and points given up. That's usually what I make my record on, is where's your record right now currently in the league and how many points are you giving up in scoring a game. That's kind of what I base mine on. So, Tano, what you got with yours?
See, mine I base a little bit more on strength of schedule. Who have you played? What have you done? Who are you going to continue to play? Records do have a little bit to do with it, but if we see as we're going to get into it, I don't have Jags nowhere near as high just because of historically what he has done. But on the outside looking in, I have the Steelers, Chargers, Texans, and Bengals. Texas gives a good honorable mention just because he did beat a top 10 opponent, in my opinion, last week. Patriots going to hate, but let them hate. So at number 10, I got the Saints just because he's actually getting he's finally winning the games that he's supposed to be winning. He's got a tough schedule ahead. So in the way that we're looking at it right now, he's 7-4. I think he's going to win the division. That's why I got him at number 10. Number 9, I got the Bears. Number 8, I got the Dolphins. Number 7, I got the Jags. Why so low? Because I mentioned earlier, in my opinion, the Jags haven't really played anybody. They have the easiest schedule when we're looking at the top 10. They have, in my opinion, one of the easiest schedules. That's why their 10-1 record is attributed to them. Now, I'm not saying if you're 10-1, no credit should be given to you, but you are in the top 10, so that's my credit that I give there. The Dolphins, Penton, I have you're at 8-3. I have you 8, just because in the past and even last season, and I know we're kind of talking about this season, but I always kind of look back at what have you done to this point. So that's why I have you so low. Number 6, I have myself, just because I have myself winning because the Steelers. Again, they're mine, Trent. So stop hating because I rate myself the way that I do, because they're my fucking rankings. If they were yours, you're going to get your turn. But I just see I've beaten the Dolphins the past couple of times we have played. I've beaten the Jags a couple of times we have played. I've beaten the Bears the past couple of times we have played. And I've beaten the Saints the past couple of times we have played. Texans, had he had a better record, he probably would have been higher just because of what he has done lately. But because he's on the outside looking in the playoffs, that's why I don't have him in the top 10. But 7, 8, 9, and 10, that's the reason why I have him below me. Number 5, I have the Patriots. Number 4, I have the Cowboys. Number 3, I have the Jets. Number 2, I have the Seahawks. And number 1, I have the 49ers. 1 and 2 can just like probably like the Texans are saying for Jags and 49ers. 1 and 2 is the same thing for me. 49ers or Seahawks can be interchangeable. Rico took a 49ers team. Within a year, he rebuilt them back up. The Jets at 3 over the 5 at 5. I vote the Pats at 5 because in the last 6 matchups, the Jets have won 5. The Pats have won 1. That's the reason why I have them high. And Sergio at 4, just because of his record and the way that he always plays. He's a good regular season player. He still has a Super Bowl. Got to respect that.
Okay.
Awesome. Swan, what you got on your power rankings, man?
All right, ladies, my top 10. I just played the Bucks, and man, their offense was explosive. So I had to put him at number 10. The reason why he's not higher is because he's got more losses than the other guys on my list. And he's 7-4. Steelers at 9. Haven't seen much of him, but I've seen him take out some pretty formidable opponents for the games he gets to play. I got Ravens at 8. Seems to be struggling right now. This might not be his year. Steelers might take it. Ravens might want to start tanking at this point. 7, Patriots. Patriots at 7. Dolphins at 6, I'm sorry. So these guys match up pretty even. I'm just giving Penton a nod because I've actually played him before. I've never experienced Patriots. I've seen him get W's. I've seen his stats, but I have not actually played and seen what the hype's about, and he always comes up short when it is the final, deciding that division. Bum-ass Cowboys at 5, Jets at 4. Got the Seahawks at 3 right now because he's taking losses that he typically wouldn't be taking. Jags at number 2. To piggyback off Taino, he never kind of gets it done, despite him having the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense. User-wise, he's not the guy. And Mr. YouTube at number 1, 49ers.
Awesome. All right, good shit. Appreciate that, Swan. Pimp, what you got with your power rankings, man?
Right now at 10, I got the Buccaneers with the Saints, Ravens, and Chargers on the outside looking in. Number 9, Bears. Number 8, Steelers. Number 7, me. Number 6, Patriots. 5, Jets. 4, Cowboys. 3, Seahawks. 2, Jags, and 1, Niners. With really whoever wins that AFC North division is really gonna be my number 7, number 8. But since Steelers winning currently, that's why I got him above you. So you know, and with 4 and 5, with 5, 6, and 7 with the AFC East, it's gonna determine itself. So
nice. Appreciate that, Pant. Power rankings that I've been waiting for. Mr. Trent, what you got, son?
All right, I think everybody's been waiting for this one. All right,
It doesn't matter.
On the outside looking in, I have the Bears there. Number 10, I have the Steelers. I think he's been a bit of a pleasant surprise this season with his wins. Number 9, I have the Ravens. Tough road to close out and stay in the top 10 and make the playoffs. Number 8, I have the Chargers. 5, 6, and 7 are all interchangeable. At 7, I have myself, the Patriots there. At number 6, I have the Jets. And at number 5, I have the Dolphins. The reason the Dolphins are above the Jets, the Dolphins have allowed 266 points. The Jets have allowed 256 points. However, the Dolphins have scored over 80 points more in their contests. Number 4, I have the Cowboys. Number 3, the Seahawks. Number 2, the Jags. And number 1, the 49ers. The difference between the two, again, was the point differential. The Jags have a good defense with only 159 points allowed, but have only scored 291. You got the 49ers with 187 allowed, but they've scored a whopping 407 points.
Good point. Good point. And there you have it, fellas. Our power rankings. Hopefully you can talk your shit in the chat. Hopefully in the comments right under the pod. But anyway, man, all jokes aside, Trent, of course, Penton, we appreciate y'all coming, to the pod, taking out your time to do this with us, man. We really do appreciate it. And that's real talk. But right now, the floor, I believe, is for you and Pent. But right now, I believe Tano wanted to take out some time for the coach's corner. Tano, the floor is yours before them. So go ahead, Tano.
I don't have much to say.
You good? You don't need it no more? You don't need your coach's corner? your week 12 game. You wanted to elaborate on what you were going to do.
I mean, we're looking forward to the playoff outlook. I mean, if you were to say, right?
Okay. With no further ado, sorry about that, guys.
I would just say I got caught by the Green Reaper. It was time for me to lose that game. He gave me the "it's time."
Wipe his
What I can say though, in all seriousness, outside of that matchup, I mean, Lowe's, yeah, you got it. You beat me. Outside of that matchup, we are kind of in the talks. And you don't really even know this, Lowe's, but this is just a little snippet of we're going to probably leave the rules as it is right now because everybody's kind of accustomed to it. So please don't bug us anymore about them. There was only one thing that we were maybe going to change, and it was the fourth down rule, but it was mostly of like Chemo's game where it was like 20 something seconds left. And then that's, in my opinion, is kind of sim to go for it if the game is tied and you're trying to win the game. That's kind of the only one that I could see. Next Madden though, Yako and I kind of being in the talks, which will probably kind of drop it in the committee a little bit, but it's kind of more of a leaning more firmly that way to kind of make them lengthier in the sense of maybe making them better wording. Because I think Trent, good to your testament, you have kind of pointed that out. The thing about though, Trent, I kind of, now that you're here, and it's kind of better than kind of going back and forth. The thing about it is you just joined us this year, with the exception of Penton and Lowe's. Swan Flu been with me since pretty much I started the league. Lowe's was with me a year into me started the league. So kind of those rules that are not said are kind of said and not written, and they kind of know it. And it's kind of like one of those things that we kind of mention them without having to. So sometimes you are, you do kind of say like, hey, this isn't really said, and this was violated, or this was done. But it's kind of those things that you have to understand. Really, there's a group of probably up to this point, there's a group of like 22 of us that have been together since either year 1, 2, and since the start. So you coming in, you're probably seeing a lot of things that are like, oh, well, this was kind of let go, or this was, it's just some things that are already established way back when that we don't write it. But to you and to others that need some refreshment, I kind of been in other leagues and I kind of picking up pointers because I like doing that also. I'm not stealing their ideas. It's always good because I normally only have one league and it's myself. I don't have time to be in 2 leagues a lot of the times, or 3 leagues like most of you guys. But I probably will sit down prior to next Madden, write it down more thoroughly. We're thinking of adding prices rather than Super Bowl winning thing. We already talked about it. It's probably leaning more that way. So maybe we'll have a different team selection coming up next Madden. It's more 75 to 80% sure. And then what we'll do is maybe go back and maybe reward the past winners for this Madden, including for the rest of the winners that we have to be decided. We don't want to say just yet exactly what it is, just in case we decide not to do it. We don't want to put our foot in our mouth. But that's kind of the way that we're doing. And with that being said, the rules would definitely be more written out and more in-depth, so there leaves no room for discrepancy. But with that being said, because we are probably going to get into the room of rewarding people with probably actual money and probably giving attributes to players or doing things like that, that's why they'll have to be more specific, and there'll be no room for error. With guys that were with me in year 1, 2, or 3, prior to me switching locations in my job, I was pretty much no tolerance. That's one of the things that probably Jason kind of missed, where I was just literally lay the hammer, no questions asked. You leave, I don't care. As of late, they have called me a kid, and maybe Lowe's and others have said that I've gotten more softer just because I haven't had the time to do it. But next Madden, we got some things in the work that Yako and myself been talking that is probably going to spice it up with the addition of continuing this and maybe adding visuals to this and things like that. So that's what I really wanted to use my coach's corner and fuck the Texans.
Nice. I appreciate that, co-host. Appreciate it. Penton, you got anything this week for the coach's corner, man?
I would say everybody who's in the playoff hunt, focus on the playoff push, and hopefully I'll see y'all in the playoffs. Well, I should see y'all in the playoffs.
For sure. Mr. Trent, you got any last words for the coach's corner?
All right. Yeah, there is something I did want to point out as of late. I mentioned, or people had mentioned before about the instant rollout with quarterbacks. That seems to have been a problem of late. Seems like more people are doing it. I understand the pass rush is much better on this Madden as compared to previous years. However, I mean, you still got a good solid 2 to 3 seconds in the pocket. So you don't have to instantly roll out, but I've been seeing it a lot in my last few games. It's just an instant sprint to the sideline and trying to playmaker people to the middle of the field.
Trent, who's doing it?
Well, I don't want to name names on the podcast.
Name names. Name names on the podcast.
He's in the pod.
All right.
Anyway,
Jets did it. Packers did it. But however, he did not stream our game. That was one of the reasons why I pointed out in the chat, hey, Packers put up the stream. It's because he had done that multiple times. But, I mean, it's not a major deal. I mean, I ended up beating both users because I caught on to what they were doing. But I still think that's something that needs to be addressed, or people with mobile quarterbacks who call pass plays with no intention of throwing the ball. They'll have a guy wide open deep, and they're just looking for that running lane to take off and get 20, 30 yards easily. One of the other things I wanted to point out is spamming players.
Wind them out.
I can say, stats show that I'm guilty of this. Hagler's having 19 touchdowns and by far my leading receiver. However, that is not by design. It's just when I see him one-on-one, he's getting the ball. But one I really want to point out, and again, this isn't to just point anybody out in particular, but Bears. If you go look, his passing stats, he has 22 passing touchdowns this season. And then when you go and you look at the receiving stats, lo and behold, Emmanuel Hall has 22 receiving touchdowns and is the leading receiver on his team by 1,400 yards. I mean, that is definitely spamming one single player.
This is something I mentioned when I played him in the playoffs. He went to that post route 3 times in a row, complaining about his internet, so he could only use his YouTube play. And pretty much the game did it for him, man. And letting guys like this snake away.
Also on this note, everybody knows this is a running game. This Madden, the running game is so OP, you just want to do it. But as mentioned earlier, we have a running back with 2,200 yards and 19 touchdowns with 5 games left.
With 5 games left. Who is that? Who's doing that?
And, not just calling him out. On that note, there's 3 other running backs with 1,300 yards, there's 3 total running backs with 1,300 yards or more, that have only played 9 games. If you go look at their games played, and, they all have 13-plus touchdowns. We have a tight end that has 1,200 yards and 17 touchdowns. So you know how to stop his offense. Stop that corner out to the tight end.
73 receptions.
Yeah, stop that corner out to the tight end, and, you're very likely to beat him. But also, with that being said, there's 12 receivers with over 1,000 yards, 7 that have 10 or more touchdowns. And, again, that one that has 22, and then mine, of course, Hagler, that has 19. And then so there's 10 running backs total that have 10 or more touchdowns. So I would say there's definitely some spamming of players going on here.
So are you saying at this point in the league, people are just saying, fuck it at this point?
And to defend myself, again, I was, accused of spamming.
Spam by wide receiver.
Okay, perfect. I would love to address that right now. Okay, that receiver in particular that he's talking about is what? Where's he at right now? Where's Mr. Peralta? Where's he at on the list as far as yards?
Peralta has 785 yards, 14 touchdowns. The reason I know that is
receptions. Go look at his receptions. He has maybe the least receptions in the league.
He has 28 receptions, an average of 28 yards per catch.
He's catching the ball when I throw it. I'm not spamming.
Yeah, I don't see a spam there.
You know what I mean? So,
but they said it's a specific play that he keeps getting open on. You're like spamming the play opposed to the player.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I haven't watched his game yet. But
say it for the lady in the back.
In particular, if I had a 97 speed receiver that I was sending up the middle, that you were bringing your cover to, safety down on, I understand me spamming that throw. I'm gonna spam that throw every time because you're giving it to me. But this guy's 90 speed. It's not like he's running past people.
Yeah, looking at Peralta, the only thing special about him is he's a big body with.
He's a big body. That's it. When I have position to throw him the ball, I throw him the ball.
So is it a YouTube play? Is it a YouTube play? Is that what we're asking? Is that a YouTube play that he keeps scoring?
I'll answer both of those questions. No, it's not a YouTube play, and it's actually a corner route play that's designed to go to Hopkins.
Can you post your search history?
Yeah, I actually can. Like I'm on YouTube all the time. I don't know any YouTube plays. I don't watch Madden YouTube. I'm watching animation.
To defend him, I didn't think he spammed. To be honest, I didn't think he spammed Peralta.
I really didn't either.
I don't think anybody was talking about you anyway. It was the other guys that Trent had mentioned, but you felt guilty enough to bring yourself into it. So you look like you're spamming.
What I would say to, if I can add anything to that, this is gonna be, and I know you guys are gonna say it, but it has a lot to do with it, and he's a really good scapegoat answer. But to be completely honest, the way that the game is designed this year, it allows for that, and it's made for that. Because in the past, we have seen players to kind of do it, like the pass-heavy players normally are pass-heavy. Like in the past couple Maddens, I would know literally without even having to play. Like this is my first year in like probably 2 or 3 Maddens that I get an MVP with Lamar and my running back. I mean, I had it when I had the Steelers like 2 Maddens ago. Like I'm not like I always win Super Bowls and be in the playoffs, but none of my players, with the exception of this first year, Lamar Jackson, none of my players have ridiculous stats. But if you look at how the game is built, and I know it sounded like the prototypical scapegoat answer, you guys may look at it like that. If you look at it, if you draft a wide receiver such as Peralta, not that he does it or not, but he's a 60-something overall. In order for him to become superstar or become X Factor or anything, he has to finish within top 3 of these things. Same thing with quarterbacks. Like if you want your rookie quarterback to be this good, or if you want this quarterback to be this good, unfortunately, you need to, sadly, because how the game is made, you need to, in your words, spam the player. Because in order to develop him and make him an X Factor or make him a superstar, if you don't get lucky by drafting him, you have to do that. So, I mean, yes and no, I can blame and not blame players, because it's like if you look at it and you got a ridiculous goal of your running back has to rush for 4 touchdowns and 250 yards for him to get an X Factor. Like, fuck, what are you going to do? You're going to fucking feed the man. Like, I'm not using this to say, Penton, you should be rushing 2,000 yards. But at the very same time, if he wants his running back to be a miniature version of what Tariq Cohen is, what Dalvin Cook is, those players that come like that out of the wrapper, he's going to have to do that. I mean, and go to Ty's monologue would be, we just got to adjust and stop him. Because there are plays within the game that you can stop the running game. And you don't have to call the same play over and over to stop the running game. It's just one of those things that we have to adapt a little bit better. But I see what you're saying. But there's no way, like I would literally, if I were to pinpoint and do what you may be envisioning for me to do, I will take away all the fun. Because what are you wanting me to do? For me to say your wide receiver can only see 10 targets a game and have only 5 catches, and B, make sure that he only has within 100 to 150 yards a game. But if he has 250 and it's just 1 game per season, that's realistic, then you will really have me doing homework every night, looking at every team. Like,
but I think what the difference is like, I definitely understand what you're saying, because they do tell you to target these stats to get these developments. But when we say spam, it's like, okay, Ion, for example, he'll run overload and he'll just run that dive. It's not he's running all over the field. it's one play that's just going to give him that break every third down. It's like he's spamming the play with that
and he's going
spam
to turn
play.
it outside every time to get that little blocking boost that comes with turning a dive outside.
There's no talent to that. It's just like, bail me out. Let me do it to get another set of downs.
And you're correct. That's why I guess I'll give you a sneak peek of what I'm envisioning to next year. But again, I don't know how next year's game is going to be developed. We have not, in my opinion, had this much of a problem, but this year we had it in the past, but it was defense and it was Rico running cover 2 the whole game, because you could literally at certain points of the game, you can literally run cover 2, and if you're a good user, cover 2 is going to shut down a lot of stuff. So if you guys don't know, but
also
anyway,
the outside run.
Yeah, the outside. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
cover
we
4
have to put the
inside
concept.
run. Cover 4 is inside run. Cover 2 is outside run.
There you go. So we have to input these concepts to kind of do that, to kind of not let users do that. Because if you guys really, there will be literally, the league would not be as equal. We would literally, in my opinion, we would literally have a very top and a very low. There would be no middle of the pack if we got rid of the concept rule, and if we made things a little bit more looser. Why? Because I know the top users, such as Ty, 49ers, myself, Cowboys, and I can continue down the list, Penton, they will literally run, they will build a team to have a cover 2 team, they will run cover 2 the whole game, and you guys are literally fucked. And then we go back to last year where only one person is winning. Thankfully this year, outside of Ty winning back-to-back, we have had a Super Bowl winner, and we have had different representatives in the Super Bowl. So, yes, there's a lot of stuff by the top users complaining about get rid of this rule. And, yes, myself have even gotten, quote-unquote, caught doing it. But it has leveled the league more out. To the offensive side, I do like an idea of which I'm kind of tendering with, where you can only use that play only twice per half. So if you run single back dive in a certain formation, because the formation has a lot to do with it. You can run a stretch of a certain.
Here's my objection to that, okay? And me coming from a running back perspective in a simulated game style situation, dive is that you're gonna run dive probably more than any of the other plays.
You're right, but you can run dive out of I formation twins. You can run dive out I formation tight. That's what I'm saying. Not the formation, just the play. So what I'm saying is,
okay, I get what you're saying. I get
twins
what you're saying.
I formation because if you look at it, the way sometimes the game is made out, and I know what Bears is doing. He goes with that 3 tight end set where there's only one tight end, and it's that bunch formation. He's not bunch, but it's like all the tight ends are in the line. He runs a dive, and if he sees the end has the block on the left tackle, or the tight end, and he gets a good tight end, he can bounce it outside. I know what he does that every Madden. He tries to do that every Madden, by the way, Trent.
Right.
So that's only that one formation. If you do that out of dive, you are not as effective in dive.
Yeah, so when you say switch it up, guys will run 60 different plays, but then it's like, let me run that money play, and I'm gonna get it every time.
Exactly. So if you can only do it twice per half, it's like you gotta pick point and use a win, because I've seen some users that are pretty good users, but I see a play 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, fuck, I see it, but they dress it up differently, but it's still the same play.
Again, coming from
I would say one of my biggest things.
Coming from the offensive perspective is like when you're setting up a game plan versus someone you're about to play. There's a look you want to give them. I mean, I don't want to say every play, but when you're strategically going up against a team and it's a battle of positioning and things like that, you want to kind of give someone the same look. You know what I mean? As far as to also trick them out, but to also run your game plan. If you are forced to go gun, single back, weak, strong, there's no rhythm to actually setting up your offense in a game because the rules don't allow you to.
Yeah, with that being
Correct,
said,
but you don't have to run the same play.
You don't have to run the same play. But if we start taking away,
I just say same play.
Right.
Same,
so I get what
so
you're
if you
saying.
do
The same
a dive
play.
of a gun, you can only do that. There's many guns.
If I'm in trips right, and my running back set up on the left. For the rest of the quarter, there are only there's two other running plays I could possibly do. That's a draw and that's a power run from that position, from that play. You know I'm not running a zone up the middle for the whole half. That's an unfair advantage. If I get in trips right, you know I cannot touch the zone, a zone up the middle at all for the rest of the task. That's a hard handicap.
I think the best thing to do about that.
You got it twice, so it's like play calling will come at its finest. I mean, there's many other ways you can come out and do it too. This is kind of what a devil's advocate.
I play within the rules, but if we're talking true sim style playing and we're being honest with each other, whether I'm coming up with the game plan at the high school, middle school, high school, collegiate, or NFL level, you're building your game plan around the team that you're playing. And these are the looks we want to give them so that we can make them think that we're in this coverage or running this play.
And I understand that, but there's probably maybe 10 players that would be able to line up and run it one or two times and be like, okay, I see that's the look I want to give them one or two times. Let me switch it up. Same formation, but different pass play. Let me do a play action off of it. Let me do this or not. But you can do that and still win a game. But there are people that, like I said, in the defensive aspect, that will literally, like Ion, would run that dive up the middle 2 or 3 or 4, 5, 6 times a half. And whether you know it or not, the AI is built different. Like if we were talking about sim, I mean, shit, if you're telling me that you can't stop the stretch, I'm going to stretch you the whole game. I'm going to AI you the whole game. So now he has gotten better. He does different stretches of a different
user friendly.
What's that?
So what about moving to a comp league where AI doesn't have as much effect on the game?
That's
more user versus user.
That is also something that is being talked to.
We also have to wait and see what the gameplay is like. Yeah, you know.
I know that
Madden has a meta.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is, you guys want, not you guys, but you guys as a league want the game drops and you guys want within a week. Oh, let's go ahead and form the league. And then that's why we find so many errors. What I find it has been the most effective is, as many people don't like it, is whenever we wait until the first patch comes out and we wait until that until the preseason games are done and the final 53. It allows you a whole 2, 3 or month to play the game. And it allows me and the commish and yourselves, and we can have talk in the chat. And we have done this in the past. And in the past, we haven't had as much rule breaking /
I think this is the first year we didn't wait for the final 53.
Exactly. And look how much things that we have had and how many times we have had to change the rules on the go is because we haven't been able to. We literally dropped the 53 and within a week we were picking teams and doing it. And yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it keeps the activity going. But at the same time, it's like maybe what I'll do is pick the teams earlier. But I can't do that because then if a trade happens, major trade, just for everything, there's always a backside out of it. So it's like, fuck me if I do, fuck me if I don't. So it's like kind of hard either way. But the most efficient has been when we wait, whether you guys like it or not, when we wait, we get the actual rules, we get to adjust them, Lowe's, you're finally in the trade committee. So now you probably see what we get to talk about. We get to see the game. People fucking play like 25,000 games before they actually play one of the season games, and they're able to say, hey, like, this is kind of OP, like this is that, this is that, this is that. And some of them are top users, so I listen to those more. Why? Because if they can go scandalous with it, like I know if I gave Penton free reign, he will be top 5 every power ranking. I know what the man can do. I know what he can do without no rules. So we don't want to do stuff like that because he'll spam a player, go crazy, and then we have people bitching that he's doing all that. So it's kind of like, what's the fairest way to make it fun? And it kind of happens to be when we have this rules to kind of dumb down the top players, which really that's kind of honestly what he does. We dumbing down the skill of the top players to kind of make it more meet in the middle, where players that are not so great can maybe beat them because of some of the rules that doesn't allow them to be dive every time, bounce them to the outside, and run cover 2 all game, which Rico will be fucking unstoppable as he was whenever he was doing it before.
Yeah, a lot of guys look at it as like, okay, this is a video game. I don't care about football. I'm trying to get the most points, and I'm gonna do what I can. It's like playing Mortal Kombat. I'm gonna keep sweep kicking you till I beat the whole game. I just want to get all the points I can. So a lot of guys have that gamer mindset.
Yeah, if we were more of a gentleman's league where we would know that, hey, my guy that I'm playing is not gonna run cover 2 to death, and every time I see the last play is not a form of cover 2 or cover 3, then it'll be different. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So that's why we have to probably instill this, keep it the way it is. And if you see it, the same people that always complain of like, oh, maybe we should get rid of the rules. Who is it? Ty, 49ers, maybe Penton sometimes. Why? Because they know with free reign, it'll be a shit show, and it wouldn't be fun for the other 20 users.
I wouldn't say get rid of some of the rules. I just say that 4th down rules my main problem. Everything else, I've been in some leagues before. I understand it, so it's not nothing new to me. It's just that 4th down rule where like it's 4 minutes and 45 seconds left against Ion. I'm down 11 points, 2 possessions, and I'm on the 50-yard line. I gotta punt him the ball. I just feel like in any NFL situation, they're going for under 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
in a real game, those are 15-minute quarters, you know. So we're
it just kind of hard because it's one of those gray type of areas that when we pinpoint moments like that, I'm thinking of actually I have literally because of all this crap, I have like a side kind of addition to the 4th down rule that hopefully is going to be able to buffer a little bit of everything that happens in the 4th down rule. Because really, you can have 5 minutes left, be down by 10, and still feel like you're in the 50. You're finally gaining momentum, and feel like that's whenever you're getting the ball run, especially in the 4th quarter. I've seen people score 21, 28 points in the 4th. They just catch on fire both sides of the ball. And it's like, damn, like I'm 4th and 1 in the 50. Like if I go for it right here, I can keep it rolling. But I don't know. It's really hard because the thing is, if we didn't have so many whiny people and so many people that bitch all the damn time, it'll make it a lot easier because they'll understand that, bruh, like I'm down 11. It's 4 minutes left. I have to go for it. Why would I give you the ball? But the thing is, they'll be like, oh, well, yeah, it might be sin, but look at the rules. So, I have to literally go back and add this side to the rules and be like, but if this and this and that, and but if this and this and that, it's like breaking down every scenario. It's kind of hard.
The thing is, right after that, when I gave the ball back, he just went to goal line, 3 tight ends, running a dive. I'm like, I know what you're about to do. You're about to run clocks. I don't got a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's one of those things. It's hard, but hopefully, like when I seen another set of rules that I kind of like, and I might adopt some of that to bring it in there because it kind of, the way that they have it made, it kind of alleviates a little bit of of some of the stuff, like only being able to call the same play. Now, not the same formation, the same play twice a half. That eliminates Ion going down the field, blah, 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 and doing that. Adding that
comes
you
down
can –
to the one rule everybody's afraid to change. That's making it realistic by putting them injuries on.
Yeah,
Leave
I
him
will
alone.
say the injuries need to go up. Reason being, I mean, you got a guy running for 2,200 yards, just an example here, in 11 games. He is going to be worn down. He is going to be, way more prone to injury from taking.
The thing is, I don't know if the game is built like that, though. That's the thing. We're playing with AI built games. I really don't know that if Tariq Cohen, 14 or whatever running back's name for the Dolphins, is really waking up tomorrow inside the game and say, holy shit, I just have 50 carries in that game. Next game, I have a sore back. I'm going to get hurt. I think it's just luck of the draw. Like right now, I suffer 5 injuries this season. My second corner was out 4 weeks, may not have cost me being able to cover Peralta. I mean, it's like one of those things that, yeah, you guys want him higher, but you really want to be playing with a 50-something quarterback. Yeah, not really.
Well, that's when you can invest in depth. The thing is, you say you don't know, so what difference would it make if you left it alone at 50? Because it comes on at 50. If you never touch it, you still don't know.
The one time that we have done that in the past. I don't know if you remember, Swan. We did that like 1 or 2 Maddens ago when the game was extremely broken and we even had to fix the zone recognition and all that stuff. I don't know if you remember this, but we had done that in the past. The thing is, it's kind of crazy. I mean, Lowe's may even remember this, and maybe he can kind of piggyback off of this. But Trent, I can understand it. But Swan, you've been in since day one. Every rule has been because of something we have seen. Us having the injuries like this is not because we want Tyreek to be MVP every year, whoever it is. No, it's because we have seen in the past that if we leave it at 40-something, you getting guys going for 35 weeks and shit like that is just unrealistic. Whether you want it more realistic, but it comes out even more unrealistic.
I wouldn't say that's unrealistic. Every team has a good 5 people a year that are gone the entire season. I mean, if you want to take Jason Verrett, for instance, he's missed 4 straight seasons with season-ending injuries. I mean, so it's definitely something. It's realistic.
Tore 3 ACLs.
Yeah, but to piggyback off Tano, y'all not gonna get a lot of players to stay in your league if they're not able to keep their players.
Yeah, but that's the point of franchise. It's a long-term. Learn to build a team with depth.
Yeah.
To go win championships.
It sounds good, but you need people to be in that franchise.
Yeah, it's hard to keep 32 people in the league where, for sure, your Russell Wilsons or your Jacksons are guaranteed to go down for a year or 2 years that they're playing in their seasons. No one technically, but to my point, I was basically saying that just realistically, it's just gonna be harder just to keep a bunch of guys like that in your league if that's the way you.
Yeah, but I want to get back to my original point here with the spamming players. I mean, Jax has made the point before, and I'm sure others think the same thing. You stop Scarborough for me, you stop Hagler, then you're going to win the game, right? I mean, I think I've proven otherwise on multiple occasions, but the reason they're my top producers, I run a very tight formation on my offense. I'm a power run offense. I'm not running spread formations and just, calling drag slant to keep force feeding the guy a ball, I think that's one of the biggest problems is guys are, putting their best receiver in the slot to do, what a route that everyone knows is a pretty cheddar route. It gets open very easily. So when they call that play, that's the only route they're looking for. And more often than not, they're going to get open. They're going to get that ball. And that's why you see guys putting up, 4,000 yards in 2 seasons receiving with 44 touchdowns, With Hagler, I drafted him, kind of same as Peralta. He was a 67 normal. It took me 4 seasons to get him to the superstar. And those were 4 constant seasons of, well, his first 3, he barely cleared 1,000 yards. He had 9, 10 touchdowns every year. And then finally had that breakout year in year 4 with 1,400 yards and I think it was 16 touchdowns off the top of my head. But when you got those guys rushing for 2,600 yards a year, or like I saw one that had 2,900 yards, a few years back, and you know what they're doing. They're spamming the player. They're using things that they know is just going to make it easy on them, such as calling the dive and instantly turning outside because the broken pursuit angles. They're going to get that, blocking boost from doing that. I think that's the thing that needs to be pointed out. If somebody's constantly calling an inside run and just turning outside, even though it's not necessary to do so, that needs to be called out. If they got a hole right up the middle on a dive play, they should be hitting that hole right up the middle on a dive play, not trying to get around the edge because the tight end seals off the DN, no problem.
Yeah, well spoken. Appreciate it. Penton, you got anything else? Dano?
I got something for people that say I'm spamming. I mean, I'm second in attempts. I'm not giving them the ball, giving them 30 times a game. Most I give with my running back is 18. And I got a stat up here on Daddy Leagues. He leads the league in 20 plus runs, double anybody. So most of the time, my yards come off the big runs. So, yeah.
So what you're saying is you spamming them?
No, I'm giving them a rock.
There's a difference between having a run-heavy offense and doing the shit that is cheddar, that is spamming. I'm, like I said earlier, calling the inside zone, calling the dive and turning outside to get that, and then immediately following it with a stretch play. That's spamming a player. That's using things that for sure are going to work. And one last thing, the running straight sideways because of the broken pursuit angles. Come on, just run the damn ball.
And that's part 7. Was it 6, 7? What you got, Tano?
Not much. It was a good one. I hope to see. I was just looking at the schedules coming up. There's really, really good matches, like we were saying earlier. So I'm kind of interested to see how this playoff is gonna end up being. There's definitely gonna be some good ones. I mean, as we saw, the Seahawks beat the 49ers, and what happened between the Bengals and the Jags? Let me see.
I'm going to predict the Bengals squeak that one out.
Yeah. Bengals won 26-14. So, all in all, fuck the Texans. Patriots is a hater. Love you all.
All right. Thanks for having me on here, guys.
So we out.
Thanks for joining, man.
Perfect.